Hello and welcome to episode 29 of the Giddy Knits podcast. Today is Thursday the 3rd of May, which is the day I'm recording, but you will be getting this on Saturday the 5th, I'd imagine. So hello and welcome. I am Helen, as always. Unsurprisingly, haven't changed my name since the last time I recorded. And I am coming to you from Surrey in the United Kingdom, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 4.5, and Jasper, who is 1.5. Yeah, I won't be coming to you from Surrey for much longer, but I will talk about that in a minute. Right, you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Giddy Helen, and as usual that's my more personal account where I share my knitting and some family stuff. And you can also find me, again, let's explain that a bit better, shall we? I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, and you can find my hand-dyed yarn on Instagram as Giddy Yarns and also on my website, which is www.giddyyarns.com. And as usual, hopefully all of that will have been on the screen. As I say, usually I sell through Etsy, but you can find links to all of that easily through my website. So website's just a good landing place to find what you need. So yeah, hello and welcome. Welcome back to everybody who's watched me before. Thank you so much for coming back, and apologies that the episode this week is a week late. Life has been a bit crazy. I've been in the midst of dying for a bigger shop update and dying for a couple of other things that I've got coming up with the shop, which I'll talk about later in the shop news section. And also we've had quite a big personal news, which I will talk about in a second in announcements, but yeah, life's been busy. So I did actually sit down and record last week, but the podcast was so, I don't know, I mean I keep my podcast real. There's no I don't know, it's real. What you see is what you get with my podcast, and I'm usually happy with that. I don't edit a lot. Occasionally I might edit out a coughing fit, but often there is very little editing. I literally edit to put up all the words on the screen, and that's about it. But last week's episode, when I sat down and recorded it, it didn't feel right. I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I was distracted. I really didn't feel like I did justice to any of the things that I was talking about, any of the products I was talking about. And when I sat back down to edit it, it was horrific. It really was. So I did make a decision not to put it up last week. And I just needed a break. To be fair, I wouldn't have found the time to edit it properly, and I really didn't do it justice, and I wouldn't have done you justice either. I think it worked out at about half an hour if I'd edited it to get rid of all the rubbish. And I didn't want to do that to you all. So hence you've had to wait a week, I'm afraid. Anyway, as I was saying, welcome, and welcome to anyone who's new. So thank you so much for checking this out. And I hope you enjoy what you see here today. If you do enjoy what you see and you haven't done so yet, then by all means, please hit subscribe down below, and give us a thumbs up, because both those things just get the video out there a little bit more and let more people know about us. Okay, so what have I got for you this week? This week I have got some announcements, which I've just hinted at. I've got a couple of finished objects, I've got some works in progress, I've got a few new cast-ons, I've got a little bit of yarny goodness, and I've also got quite a big shop news section. I've got a shop update on Saturday, so I've got quite a lot of yarn to show you that's going to be going into the shop. So yeah, so let's go straight in to announcements. And the big announcement is that we are moving. So Tom has been looking for a new job. For those of you that don't know, my husband Tom, he's a university lecturer. So he's been looking for a new job for a while. The university he's been working at hasn't been fitting him for a little while. I think, yeah, he needs a change. So he's been applying to various jobs around the country, and he's just been offered a job. And he's just accepted a job, and it's all official and it's all finalised. He's got his contract and everything, so I can talk about it comfortably. In Dundee. So we are moving to Scotland at the end of July. My brain's still a bit all over the place when it comes to this. We're moving to Scotland at the end of July, possibly even mid-July. It all seems quite a quick turnaround. We rent, fortunately, so actually the turnaround in property is is not a big issue for us. But yeah, we wanted to go up for the beginning of August. Tom's got a start date of the 1st of August because Arthur starts school this year, and in Scotland they start in mid-August, so we need to get that sorted ASAP. And in fact, I was talking to Dundee Council yesterday, and we need to get an application in by the end of May for him to be starting school in August. And apparently we're going to need an address to be able to do that. So that'll be fun, because whether we're going to have a property finalised by the end of May, I've got no idea. But anyway, it's stressing me out a little bit, sorting out all the property stuff, sorting out all the school stuff. I haven't even thought about sorting out removals companies and all of that kind of stuff yet. But yeah, we will be moving to Dundee at the end of July. Hopefully it won't have a big impact on the podcast. Obviously there might be a week that I miss, and you might notice a slightly less knitting content maybe for a couple of weeks while we're moving. But yeah, I can't imagine it'll have that big a difference. You'll just have a new situation and a new setting. And I will be even more distracted and chaotic than usual because, yeah, as you can imagine, it's quite... moving house is quite a stressful thing, but moving to the other end of the country, I mean, we're talking about easily an 8-hour drive from where we live currently. So it's not exactly easy to just pop up and look at houses and pop up and look at schools. We're going up at the end of May, well, sort of around the 20th of May, something like that. We're going to go up and have a little look at some properties and hopefully have a little look at some schools as well, so that we can get something finalised as soon as possible. Yeah, so that is my big announcement this week. We are moving. I will talk in shop news. I will talk a little bit about what that's going to mean for the shop, because obviously it will have a little bit of an impact on the shop. But I'll touch on that in shop news. I'll touch on it slightly in shop news today, but then once I've finalised exactly what my plans are with the shop, I will talk about it more in a few weeks' time. But yeah, that is my big announcement. So yeah, if any of you are in Scotland or in the Dundee area or anywhere like that and have absolutely any information with regards to schools, housing, removals, throw all the information at me. We really haven't done a lot of moving. We moved up from Cornwall, but it was just me and Tom, and we got my dad and a van, and that was it. And it was the first time renting. We didn't have any real issues. It was, it's that simple, our first kind of proper house together. So this is our first big time doing a big move, and it is going to be a big move. But it will be, I do think it's going to be a good move for us. I mean, in terms of quality of life and stuff, that's going to be amazing. I mean, I do like where we live now, but we are in a very, we're inside the M25, so we're in quite a developed area. And it would be nice to be a lot nearer the country. And yeah, I am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good move, and it's going to give us a lot of opportunities. And obviously, fortunately for me, my business is completely portable. So it does make life a bit easier. Anyway, that's enough for the announcements. I could talk about moving all day because it is on my mind and it is distracting me and it is causing me slight stress. So yeah, I could talk about it all day, but I will leave it for now. And I will move on to some finished objects, because I do have 2 finished objects to show you today. When I sat down to record last week, I felt like I hadn't done a lot of knitting. I felt like everything had been a bit on top of me. But then when I sat down to record, I realised I had 2 finished objects. This was even last week. I've not actually finished anything this week, but yeah, so I've done plenty of knitting. But anyway, 2 finished objects. Let's go in there, shall we? So I have finished my Storm's End socks. So these are a shop sample for me. And you may remember this is my newest, well, it's not my newest self-striping colourway now, as you'll see in shop news, but it's one of my newer self-striping colourways. So it's a self-striping sock yarn. This is one of mine, so it's Giddy Yarns in the Storm's End colourway. And it gives you a wide stripe of grey and then narrower stripes of the rainbow colour. And I've just popped in a grey mini that I had left over from some other project. Not quite, it doesn't quite match, but it doesn't bother me. I'm perfectly happy with a slightly darker grey. So yeah, so these are my Storm's End socks. Perfect sock sample for the shop. But I absolutely love them. And I do actually have enough yarn left over, sitting up here somewhere. I do actually have enough of this yarn left over to make a shorter pair of socks, which is I'm seriously considering doing, well, not a pair, sorry, a shorter single sock. I'm seriously considering making a shorter single sock so that I can wear these. But I'll find out whether I'm doing any shows or anything later this year where I might need a sock sample. For now, these will I can't talk this week. For now, these will get popped away in my box of socks for the winter, because I'm unlikely to wear them over the summer. But yeah, absolutely love this colourway. The base is just my standard Giddy sock base, which is a 75-25 merino nylon. And I knit these, as I have been doing this year, I knit these on 2.5mm needles using 68 stitches, and they are a perfect fit for me. So I'm really happy with them. I did do quite a long leg. I don't normally knit as long a leg as this, but I was knitting the first leg in the car, and I'd kind of finished this stripe, and I wasn't sure, I didn't have a measuring tape, I wasn't sure whether I'd done it quite long enough, so I thought, oh well, I'll just shove another repeat in and then it'll be plenty long enough. And yeah, definitely a longer leg, but I really love them. And I absolutely adore this colourway, and I really like the rainbow toes. I'm quite happy that happened. It was a complete luck, to be honest, because I knit cuff down. So yeah, complete luck that I managed to get a full rainbow in the toe. But I'm really, really happy with those. So that is my first finished object. Let's pop them off the sock blockers so that I can show you my second finished object, which is also a pair of socks. But I finished, again, another sort of sample sock, really. And I'd finished one of these a few weeks back, and then it was sitting there in the bag, and I'd not cast it on, and I just thought, you know what, enough's enough. I need to just get these finished, because they are driving me slightly mad. I don't like having half-finished projects everywhere that I'm not actively working on. I don't know, it's just not how I like to work. I like having lots of projects on the go, but they're usually all seeing some progress. So these are my Love in a Haze socks. So again, this is Giddy Yarns in the Love in a Haze colourway. And actually I've got a couple of new haze colourways that I can show you in shop news. But I love how these knit up. It's not a self-striping colourway, but the colour kind of spirals down the sock, which gives you the effect of like a micro striping. But I absolutely adore how these have knit up. Really, really do. And again, I've got plenty left in the cake, which is also up here. I've got plenty left in the cake. Come on, camera, focus. There we go. Plenty left in the cake that I could actually make another single sock, which could be a shop sample, and then I can keep these ones for me. So again, I think that might be something I do at some point in the year. But yeah, I absolutely adore these. And again, this is on my Giddy sock base. So it's a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And again, I also knit these on 2.5mm needles with 68 stitches, and they are a perfect fit. So I think I finally found my sock recipe that fits with these, with the 2.5mm needles and the slightly denser gauge. But that is all my finished objects for this week. But 2 pairs of socks, I'm happy with that, considering how busy I've been. So we will move on from there to some works in progress, I guess. And I've got 2 works in progress that I've actively been working on. My quill shawl, which I've shown you in the last few weeks, sorry, I'm just folding my socks back up. My quill shawl, which I showed you a few weeks ago, hasn't had any work on because I've been working on the Impressionists mystery knit along, which I will share with you in a minute. So I won't show that this week because I've not made any progress since I last showed you. But I have got 2 other works in progress to share. And I will start with another pair of socks. So I have finally finished one of my winter rose socks. These socks have been on the needle for ages. I think the pattern was released February maybe. And I don't know why they've been dragging in the way that they have, but they have. And there are so many mistakes in these socks, but I don't care anymore. And I do love them. They are stunning. Here we go. Here is the first sock. So I have finished it, and it's gorgeous lace pattern. It's got this lovely 1x1 twisted rib, which was a nightmare to knit, but it looks lovely. This gorgeous lace pattern. I did the heel in the pattern, so it is a heel flap and gusset. And I messed up the toe for some unknown reason. My brain did not compute quite the instructions in the pattern. Not that it was badly written at all, but in my head, when it said knit down to 16 stitches, that was 16 stitches on each needle instead of actually 8 stitches on each needle. So the toe's far too short. But it still fits me, so it's fine. And I'll just do the same on the other one. It just gives it more of a rounded toe, I guess, rather than a sort of wedge-shaped toe. But yeah, they are stunning. And the yarn I used is my yarn, and this is one of my Flower Fairies club colourways. So this is the Primrose Fairy, which was the February Flower Fairy. So it's this gorgeous kind of pale yellows and greens. It's really, really lovely. It's hard to show on camera because obviously it's quite a pale colourway, but yeah, it is really, really pretty. And I have been good, and I have cast the second sock on. I haven't got very far with it. I literally have like a tiny bit of cuff. I may be halfway through the cuff. But it's on the needles at least, so hopefully no second sock syndrome. I'm hoping to be able to work on these. I need to trim my tail end because as usual I overestimated the amount of yarn that I was going to need to cast on with. But yeah, they are growing slowly. And here goes the yarn in the cake. And I'm using my Stellina base. So this is a 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% silver Stellina. And I think the silver Stellina is coming across there. The window's right in front of me, so you should get a decent representation of the Stellina. Yeah, so I am loving this colourway, and I am enjoying these socks. Oh look, and actually in the cake you can see the pop of little teal speckles that there are. Again, as usual, I kept a skein for myself that wasn't quite perfect, so this had slightly less of the speckles in. But there is one just there that you can see. Okay, so that is my first work in progress. And I am continuing to work on these. I really do want to knit all the patterns. And I didn't say where the pattern came from, did I? I've mentioned it in previous weeks, but these are the Winter Rose socks by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade, and this is part of her Curious Handmade Sock Society. So the second pattern has already been released, and most people have probably finished the second pattern, and I haven't even finished the first pattern yet. But I am hoping to get it done before I record next, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And while we're on the topic of Helen Stewart patterns, I have my Impressionists Mystery Knit Along as my second work in progress. And the Mystery Knit Along for this has finished. And I thought I might just mention what a Mystery Knit Along is in case anybody's not sure. And this is the first time I've done one. But basically what she did is you bought the pattern, but you had a rough idea of in fact, I'm not even sure you knew the shape of the shawl. I think you just knew that you needed 3 colours of yarn. She gives you a bit of an idea, gives you some hints towards yarn choice, and that was it. And then over the space of a month, you get 4 patterns released weekly. And the last pattern was released 2 weeks ago now, so everyone should have seen this by now. A lot of people have finished, so I don't think I need to be particularly cagey about showing it. But if you haven't and you're still hiding from it, then by all means look away. Right, where is everything that I need in here? There we go, they're the other bits that I want to grab out. So I am still on clue 3. I have got 2 more rows of clue 3 left to go. So I'm not on the final clue left yet. I'm not on the final clue yet. And I'm still on short needles. So showing this is going to be a little bit tricky, and I'm trying to work out which side is the right side. This side is the right side. Here we go. So here it is. Try not to dip it in my tea. Yeah, here it is. And I do absolutely love it. I really like how subtle my stripes are in this early section. And then how nice the bright pop is. And then there's some lovely lace, which I'm just trying to stretch out a little bit there so you can get a better idea of the lace. And then I'm into this kind of striped section at the end. I have now used all of colour A and colour B that I need, which are these 2 colours here. And the rest of the shawl is knit in colour C, which is nice. I'm looking forward to having a nice sort of edge in this brighter colour. As you can see, it is quite big. It is hard to show it all because it is on needles that are far too small, and I've lost, there we go. It is going to be quite a big shawl, and it's really hard to show you. But the yarns I'm using are all part of the Flower Power Fund, which I've talked about before. And the first one is Snowdrop, which is this one here from Nora George Yarns, and this was the January Flower Power yarn. The second one I used is Hellebore, which is from Down Sheepy Lane, and this was the February yarn. And I've not got a lot of that one left. And then the third one I'm using is this one here, which is Cuckoo Flower from Beehive Yarns. And this was the March yarn. And it's absolutely lovely, isn't it? I love this. All these pinks and purples, beautiful. So yeah, and I love how they've played in this shawl really, really nicely. Again, I'm trying to make sure I'm showing you the right side. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I've not been in the brain space in the last week really to pick this up and carry on working on it. I've been doing a lot of dyeing, and I've needed a lot of short rows as such. Not short rows as in the technique, but short rows as in I've been needing things that just like a pair of socks basically, where I just knit and it's okay if I have to put it down. It only takes me a couple of minutes to finish a row rather than taking me like 25 to 30 minutes to finish a row. But yeah, this will see some more work this week. I'm looking forward to picking this up and getting this finished actually. There's only about, I don't know, maybe 20 more rows left and it'll be completely finished. It has got a picot bind off, which I am slightly dreading. I did a picot bind off on my 3-colour cashmere shawl, which, oh no, it's in the lounge. I thought it was down here, but it's not. And it took me forever, so I'm sure it's going to take me forever on this as well. But I'm looking forward to having the finished object. So yeah, I really am enjoying it, and I'm so glad that I hopped on the bandwagon and joined in the MCAL. And I'm so glad that I've used these yarns together in a project as well. When I first saw them, when I had them all lined up together, I could really see that they were going to look nice in a project together, and I am really glad that that's what I've done with them. Yeah, really glad. So I will move on. I have got, that is the last of my works in progress. Let me just attempt to shove this all back in the bag. That is the last of my works in progress, but I have actually got 2 new cast-ons for you. So the first cast on is out of my yarn again. I just need to knit up some samples for my self-striping socks, and it's quite fun to do, and I wanted something a bit more vanilla-y. Having finished the other socks that I'd been working on. So I cast on my, it's living in my newest bag from the Little Grey Girl. Love her little bags. And it also kind of matches the yarn, which is quite nice. Gotta love it when a project bag and yarn match. It wasn't on purpose. But I cast on my Eggs and Bunnies colourway. This was one of my Easter self-striping colourways, which has got 2 tones of brown and then 3 colours. So you've got sort of a light blue, a turquoise, and then like a light green. It's kind of like a minty green. There we go. And actually the lighting in here today is really good because it's quite bright and sunny outside. So hopefully those colours are coming across really nicely. So yeah, I cast this one on, and I've only got, well, I've got the heel in the first sock. So here it is. And I've been really enjoying how this knits up. As I said, I've just popped the heel in. And I'm doing something a little bit different with this. It's kind of based, I think, on the Vanilla Bean pattern, but I didn't even really look at the pattern. I've just kind of made it up as I've gone along. And basically what I'm doing, if I can get this close enough, is when the colour change comes up, I'm slipping every 4th stitch, and then on the next colour change I'm slipping sort of the alternate 4th stitch, so that you've got that, so that it alternates slightly on the rows. I hope you can see that. But I just thought it would be fun to have something a little bit different, and it looks a little bit different. It gives you a little bit of an idea as to what you can do with self-striping yarn that isn't just a plain vanilla sock. But yeah, I've been really enjoying these actually. I popped the heel in yesterday. And I'm looking forward to knitting down the foot. And I was lucky enough just to have this. This is leftovers from my breathing space. So this is my spearmint colourway. I think it's just in here. Yeah. So it's just my spearmint colourway. I just had leftovers of this, and it worked quite nicely with the light blue. So I've just popped that in as a heel. I am hoping at some point, I'm not quite sure when, because it's a case of having time to be able to do it. I am hoping to start stocking some matching mini skeins for my self-striping, and also possibly for my full skeins, especially those that I've got 100-gram skeins and 70-gram sock sets. I think it would be nice to stock some minis so that people could choose to have a 100-gram skein and then add a coordinating mini as well. But yeah, it's just a case of actually having time to sit down and think about it and dye it up, and work out how I'd list it in Etsy and all that kind of thing. But anyway, so for now I've literally just picked something that I thought would work, and it works fine, so I'm happy with it. It's not the colour, I have to say, it's not the colour that I'd pick if I was choosing a contrasting mini. I probably would have gone for the turquoise or maybe the dark brown to put in as a contrasting mini. I quite like the idea of the turquoise actually. Would make a nice heel mini for this one, but I didn't have any in that colour, and I didn't have time to dye myself up any, and I just wanted to put heel in, so spearmint it is. So yeah, so that's my new cast on. Hopefully these will get plenty of work in the next few weeks because they're quite simple, and I need something simple to focus on at the moment, but yeah, absolutely loving these. Okay, so I've got another new cast on, and finally this isn't out of my yarn. Although I guess the Impressionists MCAL isn't out of my yarn either, so it's not all my yarn this week. Although it does seem to be litting with a lot of my yarn at the moment. Anyway, I cast on a pair of scrappy socks for Tom. But looking at my camera, I'm going to have to pause a second and restart. So bear with me 2 seconds. Okay, right. What was I saying? Scrappy socks for Tom. And I also need some tea before my voice goes. Ouch. Right, okay. Yeah, Tom's been after some scrappy socks for ages. I said before, he loves wearing odd socks. So he's been pestering me to make him some scrappy socks for the longest time. And I received a lovely parcel, I think I showed it last time I recorded, of some Desert Vista Dye Works minis from somebody. And I thought I would use those to make Tom some scrappy socks. So he's got sort of scrappy self-striping socks. And this is where we are so far. I need to just check, get that cable out of the way. I need to just check whether I'm at the point of putting a heel in for him or not. Looking at it on the camera, I feel like it needs to be a little bit longer, but I'm not sure. I need to check it against some of his other socks just to see where I'm at. And I have no idea of the colourways here, but yeah, it's so fun. I've got obviously a lot of ends, but what I've actually been doing, which is a little bit lazy, but in the scheme of things, I don't really think it's going to matter. So what I've been doing, and I don't even know if you can really tell, not particularly, when I've been introducing the new colour, I've done kind of 3 stitches, something like that, where I've held all 3 strands of the colour together and knit them together. So hopefully I should just be able to clip off the ends without too much hassle. I won't have hundreds and hundreds of ends to weave in. And hopefully that'll hold up okay. He's not fussed about that in the slightest. It really doesn't bother him if I do that. So that's really good. But yeah, these are just really fun. He wants completely random socks. And as he said, once I've knit him 1 pair of scrappy socks, I will be able to only have to knit him 1 sock at a time because he'll wear them odd anyway. So that's the plan. And I've got this little bag full of various bits and pieces, various little scraps of self-striping stuff. So I think this is what's going to be used for his socks this time round, and then I will add whatever else I can find, really. Yeah, but I might have just fallen down the scrappy sock rabbit hole because actually this is really fun, because I just kind of I'm knitting a repeat of each colour, like a colourway repeat of each colour, if that makes sense. So the first colour repeat, I went to there, and then the second colour repeat is those 3 stripes, and then it was kind of from there to there was another repeat, and then there to the end is all one colour repeat of that colourway. So it's been really fun. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying them. I can see why people get addicted to scrappy socks, definitely. And yeah is all I'm saying this week, isn't it? They're growing, they're brainless, they're fun. It's exactly what I've been needing. Hence, I feel like I've cast on all the socks, despite having other projects on the go, but I needed something a little bit different. And these are just, yeah, food for the soul, I guess you could call it. Yeah. Right, that is all of my knitting. Actually, I was going to touch a little bit. I didn't mention it earlier, but I'm going to touch a little bit on blankets. I've not done any major blanket progress, but I have started working up some of the squares for the next row of Arthur's blanket out of the Down Sheepy Lane minis. And this is the February. I won't take them all out of the bag. This is the February minis, which I wound up the other night, and I've started crocheting up some of those squares. So I've got 1 month here, and then this is the start of the 2nd month. And I have been working on a few squares for my blanket. So I'm getting there. I think there's about 8 squares there, so nearly another row for my blanket. So I'm hoping there'll be a little bit of progress on those, which would be good, because I really do want to carry on working on those, although now I'm looking at all these scraps and thinking scrappy socks. But I'm thinking there's plenty left in these to make kind of scrappy socks, definitely. So yeah, it will happen. Okay, so let's move on to a little bit of yarny goodness. Sorry, I just jogged the camera then, didn't I? And just for you, Nikki, if you're watching, I have now switched from tea to squash. I do have both. A friend mentioned that she found it confusing sometimes when I had 2 different drinks, and I would pick up tea and then pick up squash, and then this time I finished swapped because I finished my tea. And I still need a drink. Normally I just forget, or my tea's too hot, or yeah. I need to drink a lot when I'm podcasting because my voice goes really, really quickly. Anyway, yarny goodness. I'm getting distracted again, aren't I? So I've got a little bit of yarny goodness, and this is this month's minis from Down Sheepy Lane. And in fact, actually they're last month's because they're the April minis, and it is now May. But these were the April minis from Debbie at Down Sheepy Lane. And this month was inspired by the Lion King. So these are the Hakuna Matata mini skeins, and I think they're super fun. I'm really looking forward to getting these put into Arthur's blanket. I really want to get everything put into Arthur's blanket. I really want to sit down and work it out and get on with it. I still haven't decided what colour I'm going to use to join, so yeah, if you've got any ideas, then let me know. But yeah, that was my most recent Yarny goodness. And I need to order this month's yet. I've not done that yet, but I will do that. And this month's are Aladdin inspired, I believe. I might go and order those after I finish talking to you, because you know, to treat myself to some more yarn. At least it's yarn with a plan. So yeah, absolutely lovely, and I'm really enjoying these minis that she's creating, the bundles. I mean, she does a whole range of her colour of the month, and she does a colourway on a full skein, which you can buy across any of her bases, and then she also does the mini bundle as well, all inspired by a Disney movie. So far we've had Frozen, which was January, Beauty and the Beast, which is the February ones, which I've got here. And then there was Coco, I think. I'm just thinking, where have I put my... oh, they're too far away to get to. Coco, I think, was March, and then April was Lion King, and then May is Aladdin. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what else she comes up with. And I'm, yeah, loving putting these into Arthur's blanket when I get the chance. Okay, so that is all of my knitting content and my yarny goodness, but I do have quite a big shop news section. So for anyone who wants to stick around and listen to the shop news section, then by all means do. If not, I will see you again in a couple of weeks' time. Okay, so I've got quite a lot of organising to do. I didn't think this through. When I paused the camera earlier, I probably should have sorted out the organising at that point, and I didn't. So I'm going to do it while I'm talking to you all. I have a big box here, which needs to come up. Oh gosh, now I've dropped yarn everywhere. This box is full to overflowing of what's going into the shop this month, and I've not even finished skeining all the yarn. I've got some sock sets that are still drying. I've got one more set of full skeins that I need to dye up tonight. Yeah, so it's not all done yet. But let's start with this month's minis. So the monthly minis for May. So for those of you that don't know, I've been doing a series of monthly minis since kind of February. Well, February I did a Valentine's mini bundle, and it was quite popular. So I started doing a series of monthly minis in March. March was Daffodil Fields, April was April Showers, May is Blossom. And here are the minis for May. So there's a lovely pale green semi-solid. There's then a tonal pink, and then you've got a variegated green and pink. And I love this one. I love how the green and pink fade down the mini skein. I think that was really pretty. And then you've got two speckled ones. So you've got this one here, which is kind of a tonal pink with green and magenta speckles on one point of it. So that one's really pretty. And then a speckled chaotic one, which is just pink and green speckles. And I've actually been using a new green dye, and I love the way that it splits when you speckle it. So you actually get kind of this really bright green, but also the yellow, and this is all coming out. These kind of teedy pops are coming out from that colour as well. So yeah, it's really, really fun. So yeah, so this is the Blossom minis, which are my monthly minis for May. I think they make quite a nice little cohesive set. I think I'm going to be keeping a set of these for myself, either for scrappy socks or to go into my blankets, or both, hopefully. So that's one thing going into the shop. Let's just get rid of all of these. I've got quite a lot of sock sets going into the shop this month. So I've got some Stormy Rainbow sock sets, which are these ones here, and they come with, Eek. They come with a grey mini skein, but I can't find the grey mini skeins. Oh, there we go, there's one. They come with the grey mini skeins for heel, toes and cuffs. So these are my 70 gram sock sets. So you get 50 grams of the main colour and 20 grams of the mini. So there are some Stormy Rainbow. There will be some Hydrangea, which was very popular when I put it up the other month. So that's this one. So it's kind of a really pastel-y pinks, blues and purples, and it comes with like a pale bluey green turquoisey mini for the heels, toes and cuffs. There's going to be some 11 sock sets. I have got some in here somewhere. Whether I've got any of the pink minis that go with them is another question. Oh, yes, I do. Good. Yep, so there's 11 sock sets. So these are the Stranger Things inspired 11 colourway, which I have also got some full skeins of, I believe. I'm just looking to see if I've got a full skein in here. I'm not sure I have. I think they still need reskeining. Yeah, they still need reskeining. Anyway, there will be 11 sock sets and there will be 11 full skeins of 11 as well. And I do love this colour, and I've seen this knit up a few times and it is beautiful. It's kind of blue and pink and yeah, so blue and pinks, and then you get a pink mini with that one as well. What else have I got? Woodland Walk. I have created a sock set for Woodland Walk, which was a lovely it's a tonal green colourway with these pops of kind of bluebell blue, and the idea is kind of walking through bluebell woods. So again, you can see the blue there. I haven't dyed the mini skein for this yet, but the mini skein will be this kind of blue colour to match it up. But I thought they would work really nicely as sock sets. A friend of mine was knitting up her Woodland Walk skein into socks, and I really like how it knitted up, so it had to become sock sets. And I will also have some bubblegum unicorn cupcake with sprinkles. I will have full skeins of that, which I've not shown on the podcast, but I will pop a picture in somewhere, hopefully, so that I can see it, because I haven't got any of that dry. That's currently hanging up to dry at the moment. I'll have full skeins of that, and I'm doing sock sets of that as well. And I think, is that all the sock sets? So what sock sets is that? That's 11 Stormy Rainbow, Woodland Walk, Bubblegum Unicorn, and is that it? Is that just 4 sock sets? Now I can't remember what else I was going to dye up for the shop. Anyway, I might come across some more. Oh, Hydrangea, 5 sock sets. Yeah, that is it. 5 different sock sets. Yes. Okay, so then I have also got some more haze colourways, as I was saying earlier. So there is Summer Haze, which is this one here. So this is yellow to green and then green to turquoise. So the only actual colours that go in when I'm dyeing this are yellow and turquoise, but you get the blending to give you that lovely green as well. And these are the ones that knit up like my Love in a Haze socks, like this. Well, in theory, if your gauge matches mine, and obviously you might get slightly different results, but that's how it knit up for me anyway. So that's Summer Haze, which is quite similar to Spring Haze, but I love the addition of the purple. It just makes me think of kind of blue skies and fields and sandy beaches and all of that kind of thing. And then again, I've got another haze colourway, which is Sunset Haze. And that is this one here. So this is yellow to magenta. So you've got quite sort of a deep magenta-y pink at this end, and then you've got the yellow, and again, they're the only 2 colours that go in, and you just get this lovely blend to these gorgeous sort of orange colours in the middle. So I really do like this one. I really like how the 2 colours blended together. yeah, so this is Sunset Haze. So there will be some of that going into the shop. What else have I got? What else have I got? Oh, there's still one random skein of Artie in there at the moment. And I said I've got full skeins of 11 going in. I've got full skeins of Bubblegum Unicorn Cupcake with sprinkles going in. Just pulling out bits here. Most of this bits down here are actually my shop stuff for me. I think that is it, possibly. Yeah, so 5 different lots of sock sets, the mini bundles, and a few full colourways as well. Yeah, I think that's it. Anyway, and then I'm also going to have, oh, that was the other thing. Where are they hiding? They're in here. 2 new self-striping colourways. So this month I'm going to be listing a few more advents. I've sold out, unbelievably. I'm absolutely shocked at how organised everyone is. I put up 10 advent slots this month and I've sold out. So I will be putting up a few more advent slots next month on Saturday. I'm also going to be putting up a few more dye to order self-striping slots, although last month I put them up with a 2 to 3 week turnaround. This month I will be putting them up with a 3 to 4 week turnaround, just because life happens and obviously we've got quite a lot going on with the move and things like that, so I just need to give myself a little bit more time so it's not so stressful. But on that note, I do have 2 new self-striping colourways. So I have got this one here, which is Crocus, which is, again, these are my 5 stripe colourways. So you've got a green, yellow and a white stripe with then a darker purple and a lighter purple. So this is the Crocus colourway. And then also the Hydrangea. Oh no, not Hydrangea. What am I on about? Magnolia. Magnolia colourway. It's the Hydrangea sock sets that are throwing me. So yeah, so this is the Magnolia colourway. So you've got the white, pale pink and brighter pink stripe with a brown and a very light spring green as well. And I'm so happy with both of these colourways. I really, really like them. So I hope they're really popular. But yeah, there will be some more slots for dye to order self-striping, including these 2 new colourways, in the next update on Saturday. And I think that's everything that I've got going into the shop. I think so, anyway. Obviously, there's the ones I can't quite show you because they're not dry yet. I'm hoping to try and get some photographs in the next couple of days, so that I can start putting some photographs up on Instagram of what is coming into the shop and what's going to be available. So keep an eye on that if you're on Instagram or Facebook. I'll pop them on Facebook as well. Okay, and I've got a couple of little bits of news as well for the shop. So as I said, we're moving. Fortunately, as I said, my business is obviously completely transportable. But what I think I am going to be doing, so my Flower Fairies Yarn Club will be unaffected. The only thing that may be affected is that July's Flower Fairy, August's Flower Fairy, which ships in July, usually would ship the last week of July, may ship early, because we're planning on moving the last 2 weeks of July, so I won't be able to ship them. So what I'm planning on doing is hopefully dyeing those up at the beginning of July so that I can ship them sort of mid-July, so that they're all out of the way before we move. So they will be relatively unaffected. You may just receive it early, which I guess is no bad thing, really. I will not be listing any self-striping. There'll be no dye to order self-striping listed in July or August. In fact, there will probably be no shop update in August. So yeah, I mean, or there might be a late shop update. It all depends. But at the moment, the plan is that there'll be no shop update at the beginning of August. I'm thinking that there will be a small shop update at the beginning of July. There'll be a small sort of ready to ship shop update, but the shop will probably only remain open for 2 weeks. And then I will be shutting the shop for a month and a half. Well, I won't be shutting it. I will be removing everything except for pre-orders. So my Flower Fairies will stay in there because obviously when people order those, that's fine. It's not something I have to immediately deal with. and I'll probably keep popping a few advents in as well. So anything that's kind of pre-ordered with a later shipping date will stay in the shop, but there won't really be any ready to ship in there for maybe a month and a half, possibly 2 months. I'm not 100% sure yet. It depends on our moving dates and things like that. So I hope you can understand that. But if you're in the Liverpool area and you want to see my yarn in person, I am going to be having some of my yarn stocked at Ovis Yarns' new little market store in the Red Brick Hangar in Liverpool. It's got a lovely looking little unit in the Red Brick Hangar, which I think looks amazing. And it seems to be doing really, really well. And yeah, I'm going to be sending her some of my sock sets and a couple of full skeins for her to stock in May at some point. Also, 16th of June is the next Socks on the Beach event, and both myself and Debbie of Down Sheepy Lane will be having a little pop-up shop there. The Socks on the Beach events are a completely free event that are open to anyone. It's just a little knitting event. It's held in the Eagle Pub, which is opposite Yak Knitting Shop in Brighton. And I think the next one is, 16th of June, 11 till 3. So if you're interested and you're in the area, come along and come and meet us. It's a lovely little knitting event. Just sit and chat and knit. And this week, for the first time, we're having a little pop-up shop, which will both be me, Giddy Yarns, and Debbie of Down Sheepy Lane, who will have a few little bits and pieces there for sale, and just come and have a squish. So that's where you can find my yarn and find me over the next couple of months. And I think that is all my shop news. I think that is pretty much everything for this week's episode. And already this has felt better than the one I recorded before, so that's a good sign. Hopefully this will be the one that you get to see. If I've got anything else to show you, I will pop it in photographs, hopefully, but I think I've shown you everything that I've got for the shop update and all the news and all my knitting and everything that's been going on. So I hope you have a really good couple of weeks with lots of knitting and lots of lovely things to enjoy. And I will hopefully be back again in a couple of weeks' time with another episode with lots of more knitting and lots more things to share. See you soon. Bye.